Turning now to Washington, where a number of loudmouth Democrats are doing their very best to turn a legitimate congressional probe of Governor Tim Walz and his staggering fraud scandal into a veritable three-ring circus. Right now, the House Oversight Committee is in the process of holding a series of critical hearings to determine why Walz intentionally ignored repeated warnings from whistleblowers that billions of dollars of taxpayer money were being stolen right under his nose. However, according to reports, rather than taking part in a legitimate investigation of more than $9 billion in potential fraud, several Democratic lawmakers on the panel, they're instead choosing to ignore the evidence completely and disrupt proceedings at every turn. It's just disgraceful. In addition to utterly disregarding the obvious elephant in the room, these Democrats in denial are also taking their deflection one step further by making long-winded speeches that go nowhere, kind of like filibustering, while ultimately blaming President Trump for creating the fraud problem in the first place. Among their outrageous claims that by pardoning a number of convicted fraudsters, Trump is actually doing more harm to the American public than what's going on in Minnesota, if you can believe they actually said that. Additionally, instead of focusing on the matter at hand, the Democrats using their precious time to filibuster, that's I just said that a moment ago, about such inconsequential matters as the renaming of the Kennedy Center, while also wasting valuable minutes by accusing Republicans of taking part in a xenophobic witch hunt against Somalis, and wrong on all accounts. Perhaps most disgustingly, one representative from Massachusetts actually spent her entire allotted time screaming at whistleblowers at the top of her lungs, calling them hypocrites and raking them over the coals about a couple of President Trump's most questionable pardons. Now, in case you're keeping track so far, federal authorities have already charged nearly 100 individuals with taking part in a variety of social service fraud schemes in Walz-y land, and at least 85 of them are of Somali descent. As a result, Vice President J.D. Vance now says that President Trump is creating a new and special Attorney General position to concentrate specifically on fraud cases throughout our entire country, adding that massive theft is likely taking place in California, Ohio, and other parts of the U.S. as well. Lots to take in there. And final thought, this is the News Roundup Lowdown. It took far too long, but finally a solution is in place. And it's beginning to sound like we have an intelligent answer to what sounds like a few missing dollars down Minnesota way. Just a couple of bucks. Now, we've all heard stories about the $9 billion worth of fraud, possibly more, maybe a pinch less, in Tim Walz's well-governed state of Minnesota. Understandably, everyone wants answers. Most people want the truth. Although, frankly, I don't think you can handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth!
And here's how it's all panning out. Dozens of folks have been charged in the big Minnesota caper. Many have been tried, convicted, found guilty. They're behind bars, and investigations, still going on right now. It's already so ugly that Tim Walz has stepped out of the race and will not be running for governor in November. But according to Democrats at this goofy hearing, here's the real story, America. Here's what they want you to know. They say President Trump handed out a couple of pardons. The price of beef is too high. They were complaining about an affordability crisis. And apparently there's something happening somewhere in Mississippi. They brought all this up. They say JFK received some kind of a medal. Great. And all states should be audited, and Republicans are xenophobic. That's their takeaway. Therefore, and personally, I think the Democrats, they're spot on. Leave Minnesota alone, go away, and when the accounting is finally done, that reported $9 billion worth of fraud, that might be downgraded to maybe only $8 billion in pilfered dough. And like they say, Minnesota, come for the lakes and stay for the free cash. Actually, it'd be alleged free cash.